We have been following a question through the libraries of the ancient world, through Gnostic cosmology, the demiurge, the Archons, the spark of consciousness caught in a system it did not design. Through the Bardo teachings, the recurring light, the recurring turning away, the habits that outlast a single life. And through an observation that neither tradition needed a God to explain. The mind, left to its own devices, prefers a comfortable construction to an uncomfortable truth. In this episode, we stop moving through history and we ask what it feels like from the inside. There is a pattern that tends to appear in the lives of people who take these questions seriously. Not as academic exercise, not as interesting philosophy, but as genuine investigation. The pattern is this. The investigation begins at a safe distance. And then, at some point, the distance collapses. Consider what it might mean to study these texts for years: Gnostic cosmology, the structure of the bardos, the mechanics of illusory consciousness. And to wake one morning with the sudden uncomfortable sense that you have been studying the map without ever asking whether you were inside the territory. The academic framing is useful. It protects. The scholarly distance allows you to examine the prison without acknowledging that you might be in it. But these traditions were not written for historians. They were written to be read by someone sitting exactly where you are sitting now. Imagine sitting in meditation on the seventh day of silence. Not in a state of bliss, in ordinary discomfort, knees aching, mind half occupied with lunch. And then, the voice that narrates your life to you simply isn't there. The engine that runs the continuous monologue, the I that is always commenting on its own experience. For a brief, clear, thoroughly undramatic moment. Not running. What was there in its place? Was something without a name. Not profound, not spiritual, not what the books described. Just present and not afraid, and not reaching for anything, and not narrating. The thing that strikes you afterward, when the thinking comes back as it always does, is how obvious it felt. Not a discovery, more like, oh, this is what was always here. How long was I not looking at it? The process of taking these traditions seriously, of actually applying the questions, not just studying them, is disorienting. It does not feel like enlightenment. It feels like discovering that several things you relied on for stability are less stable than you thought. Your sense of who you are, your narrative about your life, the automatic certainty about what is real and what matters. These things do not disappear. You simply start to see them as constructions, which is different. And the difference, at first, is vertiginous. Those who work with dying people often describe something they did not expect when they began. Not the fear they anticipated, but a recurring pattern in what the dying describe. A light, not metaphorically, literally. A sense of being offered something, and then the turning away. One account given by a patient in the final days of her life. I knew it was safe. I could feel it was safe, but I turned from it because I didn't know who I would be if I went into it. The Tibetan Book of the Dead describes exactly this moment. Consciousness encountering the light, the pull of it, the turn away. Not because the light is dangerous, but because recognizing it would require giving up the only self it has ever known. The Gnostic tradition describes the same turning, the spark of original awareness longing for what it came from. And the forces, internal or external, psychological or cosmic, whose function is to prevent exactly that recognition. Across traditions separated by a world, the same account, the same moment, the same turning away. One teacher was once asked what the gap between thoughts actually felt like. She said, like coming home to a house you didn't know you had. The maps pointed here, all of them, from every direction, in every century. Not to a doctrine, not to a cosmology, to this, whatever this is.